Welcome to Sales Talk Tuesday. 3 days left, then the month is over. If you don't get it closed in the next 3 days, guess what? That commission's going to be delayed till the next month. And then it may get delayed even further because they'll start using the excuse we're at the end of the year. So you really want to get it closed today, tomorrow, or the next day. So let's take a closer look at that right now. Well, welcome to Sales Talk Tuesday. I have to tell you, I was listening to a little Jimmy Buffett before I got started, and it's playing in my head. It's been a great month. The month is coming to a close, and what I want to help you do is close more business so that you got plenty of money coming in and your world can change. So you'll take a look right here at my TV. We're going to talk about closing today, obviously, and we're going to talk about handling some objections. But I want you to realize if you don't have some answers before you get to the end and you're starting to ask that customer to commit to you, take a look at this chart right here. You got to know what that customer does. And it's so funny every time I talk to a sales rep because, we want to be geniuses. We know everything. And this customer's in construction, or this customer's this customer's that. I had the pleasure of going to New York City last week, and I went through Hudson Yards, and one of the most interesting things about that particular architecture is simply this. It's not built on the ground. It's built on platforms. Trains come in and out from underneath it. It's amazing what New York has done to maximize that little 7-mile long island. I mean, Manhattan is full of buildings. But here's the key. When you're talking to a customer, don't ever assume you know what they're doing. Ask them, find out, get a good idea, and guess what's going to happen? Your customer's going to brag. They're going to love you. Everybody talks about building rapport. We've talked about it in other shows. That's how you build rapport. And I always get the person, well, you should know before you get here. Mr. Customer, I can make assumptions all day long, but by me getting a good, clear picture, I won't make any assumptions. I'll make the best advice that I can give you. So if you'll notice here, we look at financials. I want to know what your revenue, what kind of margins. And the reason why you're doing that is because the objection you're going to get when you ask most customers for the order is, man, you guys are too expensive. And at that point, if you're not prepared, guess who's got the advantage? Advantage customer. You have no information, they have everything. So these are the things that you really need to cover before you go into the close. And so that brings me to a key point. If you've got customers that you're going to be closing today, and you're going to be asking them to buy, and you don't have just this basic information of what kind of revenue they've done over the last 2 or 3 years to know where they're trending, to find out if their margins are getting squeezed or not, to know if their competition's coming in and cleaning their clock, who's their competition, how are they getting those customers, what are they doing from a marketing perspective, because keep in mind, they're spending money trying to get those customers. And last but not least, what's the size? How big is this organization? Other than this location, what other locations do you have? And you'll be amazed at what you'll find out. And I love it when people go, well, is that all you ask? If you ask those questions, there's 10 or 15 more that you're going to ask behind them to gain clarity so you have a good understanding. Now, the thing I often get from sales reps is, Byron, this takes too long. Why in the world would I ask all these questions? And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, if you don't ask them, you're going to go into to the close. It's like landing a plane without any fuel. You're not going to land too well. You're going to crash and burn. So when you're coming in, if you don't have your tank ready and you don't have all the ammo, you're going to be in trouble when you start trying to bring that plane in for a landing, because your presentation is going to be a whole bunch of your jargon versus telling that customer what your product is truly going to do for them. So let's take a closer look at the presentation. Now you'll see here in the presentation, I try to keep everything simple. It really is simple. You focus on the customer. They give you the information, and then you simply come back to them with you translating what your product truly does for them, and you land that plane. Now keep in mind, the reason why I keep talking about landing a plane, if you've ever flown, when you're coming in, if the wind hits those wings and that wing touches the ground, it's over. It doesn't look good for you. So as you as a sales rep, when you're coming in, you lead in based on what you've told me. If they haven't told you anything, that's a lie. If you've done what we've talked about in earlier videos, you've got some good information. If you've asked the questions that we talked about a few minutes ago, or asked questions around those areas, then you've got good information. You'll notice here where I say recommend the appropriate service. Notice I didn't say talk about the feature. And here's why you don't want to talk about the feature. Everybody's got this special feature that you love. And all that prompts is when you come in for that landing and you mention that special, Dumaflachi, Vlufaflachi, whatever in the world you want to call it, now they're going to ask you, what's that? Explain that to me. And now instead of you closing, you're going to pull back up because the turbulence are bad and you're going to have to reapproach the close. Do you really want to do that? Let me give you a hint, ladies and gentlemen. If you're doing too much educating of your customer at this point in time, you're going to lose the sale anyway. Because you're going to educate them because they are going to it'd be like you going to a doctor and you start asking the doctor a whole bunch of questions so that you can decide what kind of surgery you're going to have, when you're going to have it, and what needs to be done. Do you really want that type of surgery? I don't think so, because you're not a surgeon. So when you're a salesperson, you need to realize it's your job to get the right information and you're making that recommendation. So when they want to try to spin you off and get you to educate them and you feel good because it's your chance to talk, you're really wasting a lot of time and you're getting them prepared to either overthink it or look at your competitor. Now, unless you're a low-cost provider, when you're coming into this presentation, you recommend your service, keep it generic, just like we talked about in the opening, vaguely specific. You come in and now you're providing all the benefits from the customer's perspective. And let me give you a good for instance. I have a friend of mine who called me. I hadn't talked to her, in 6 years. I'd trained her in a team years and years and years ago, and she's just now starting to sell advertising. Now, if you've seen my videos on advertising, there's about 30,000 different things that falls under the category of advertising. But what she sells is commercial time. They actually do the commercial, shoot the commercial, and then they go out and buy the media for different car dealerships and different things along that line. So when I started role-playing with her, I realized real quickly she had forgotten a lot of the things we'd covered years ago. She started telling me the benefits of all of the commercials, and I started asking questions, and 30 minutes later, she's like, wow, you've learned a lot about my business. I'm like, yeah, because I need to help your company sell more advertising, and if you're selling like you were selling me in the beginning, we got a problem. So here you come in. When I come in, it's like, look, I appreciate where you're coming from. What we can do is help you center your questions around your customer so that you can pull everything together so that when you're making your presentation from an advertising perspective, it's going to help you grow your revenue at a much higher rate than you are now. Because right now, all you're doing is teaching them how to go out and shop for media versus buy media. You need to get them to buy. They need to come to you as the professional. And all we need to do at this point, now notice I'm folding right into the close. All we really need to do at this point, that's my lead in, is get everything set up, figure out what you're wanting to accomplish here, and then we'll get everything signed and I'll get the PO paid. How does that sound? And that's it. At that point, what's the person going to say to me? Man, let me think about it. Hey, I'm okay with that. Mr. Customer, before we go, what concern do you have? Nothing. You've done a pretty good job. Yeah, but obviously there's some concern because handling this media so that you can do your job, you definitely need some help with it. So what concern do you have? And he says, well, I have to be honest with you. It's a lot of money that you're asking me to spend with you. If I don't have the financials and I don't have the average revenue and I don't have the things that he's trying to do to get to market, guess what? I am totally unarmed. So when you get to the expense standpoint, you need to already have those questions answered. You need to understand and tie everything back to them. Now, I've got a lot more to teach, but unfortunately, you've got to get out there and close some business. Still some of the tactics I just gave you in this video, because I promise you, those small things will make some very big differences in the closes that you're about to do. The hint I want to give you is this. When your manager's pressuring you to close that business, if you don't have the initial questions answered, go back before you close. And all you simply have to do is go, Mr. Customer, hey, I want to spend a little time with you just to make sure I've got everything right and I'm making the best recommendation for you. And boom, you're back into the probing model. Get your questions answered, then land that plane. Don't try to land that plane in a storm. Firm everything up, clear up the weather, and bring that baby in for a good landing. Hey, it's been a pleasure doing this video. I hope it helps you blow out this month. We've got 2 months left in the quarter. We've got 2 months left in the year. And I want you to be prepared, not just for the end of the year, but what's coming in January. By the way, on my book, all that I've given to you is in my book on page 27 is where it starts on asking the right questions the right way. If you want more information and actually want to go through it and it'll walk you through most of it, you can go to bysterbook.com. You'll get the first 4 chapters free. If you want to buy the book, you can go on and buy it. But the main thing I want you to think about is you need to invest in yourself. You need to help yourself get better at what you do. I don't care how good of a salesperson you are. If you're scared to role play or you're nervous about getting someone asking questions, you know you need some help. And we do a Byster Boot Camp once a month. We have one coming up, so go to bysterbootcamp.com. Take a look at it, see which dates will work for you, and we'll see you in the next video. Also, if you're on YouTube, you're going to see a little card right up here. It's going to tell you how to go and handle the too expensive. It's a real good video. And also, if you'll look at it, if you'll go down here where it says subscribe, if you'll subscribe, hit the bell so that you know when I'm doing my next video. I hope this helped you. Reach out to me, feel free. BysterBootCamp.com for the boot camp, or ByronLindsay.com to reach out and send me some recordings so that I can help you get better. It's been a pleasure working.